How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. So last night concluded Green Bay Packers family night practice, which gave us a little bit more of a look at this 2023 Green Bay Packers football team. So in this video, I wanted to react to the highlights from last night's practice, go over them with you guys, give my take on them, and pretty much also give my full takeaway on last night's practice. There definitely was a lot of things to take away from certain players from last night, and I think we started to learn a little bit more about some of these players on this team. And if you are a new viewer to this channel and you want to stay in the loop with everything Green Bay Packers throughout the entire season, I post videos almost daily about the Green Bay Packers, going over practices, preseason games, and then of course into the regular season and all other news and analysis for the Green Bay Packers. So if that does interest you, I'd highly suggest going down and clicking that subscribe button. So without further ado, let's bring up the screen and get this started. So on this first clip, it's an 11v11 period, starters versus starters. Jordan Love finding Christian Watson in the back of the end zone over Corey Ballentine here. I don't know why they have Corey Ballentine in the starting defense against Christian Watson, maybe just to see what Watson could do. Nonetheless, a really nice throw by Jordan Love on the right side here to where only his wide receiver can get it, and an even better catch by Christian Watson, snagging that football basically off the top of Corey Ballentine's head, really showing his jump ball capability here. Christian Watson looked really good last night, and I'm super excited for Christian Watson going forward. I think Watson will be that #1 wide receiver in Green Bay. I know a lot of people like Romeo Dobbs as well, myself included, and it seems like that rapport was building strong with Jordan Love and Romeo Dobbs throughout OTA's minicamp into training camp. But now we're starting to see that same thing happen with Jordan Love and Christian Watson, which was a main concern for me. You know, we got to start seeing that happen as well with Watson and Love, and not just Love and Dobbs. So really nice to see this in this 11v11 portion. Yes, it's on Corey Ballentine. It would have been a lot more impressive if it was on someone like Jair or Rasul or something like that, but nonetheless, this is an NFL cornerback, and it was really nice coverage. The throw was right on the money, the catch was very impressive, and a would-be touchdown. Here's another view of the catch here from the end zone view. You'll see this ball basically plays right on the top of Corey Ballentine's helmet, and Watson just snags that off the top of his helmet there. Just a beautiful throw and catch connection from Love to Watson. In this clip, we have Jordan Love extending the play after play action here and finding Aaron Jones in the end zone on a really nice sidearm throw. He throws a pump fake and then a sidearm throw around that defender there to fit that ball into Aaron Jones in the end zone. A very impressive, you know, you would call it an Aaron Rodgers-esque type of throw here, you know, escaping the pocket, throwing off platform, sidearm around a defender to find his receiver in the end zone. A nice job by Aaron Jones also, you know, finding a hole in that zone there, coming back to the middle after being outside and finding that hole in the defense. And a good job on Jordan Love, you know, being patient, staying to this left side here, waiting, pump faking, and then throwing a really nice sidearm ball to Aaron Jones there. We know Aaron Jones is going to be heavily implemented in this offense as a receiver as well, like he has been in years past. The Packers need to continue to use Aaron Jones more. I feel like last year they didn't use him enough, and that's kind of why the offense struggled. They also need to use him more in the red zone like they did here. Years ago, Aaron Jones was that red zone back, and he had so many touchdowns. Now it seems like they kind of went away from that. Aaron Jones needs to see more touches in the red zone, not only running, but catching the football. Here's another angle of the awesome throw. So throwing it around Devondre Campbell there. Sidearm throw to Aaron Jones. I'll let it play once more here with this cool, nice angle. So really nice off-platform sidearm throw, pretty much in between those two defenders in front of him, and Keyshawn Nixon on the side there. Here we have a clip of Jordan Love in the 2-minute drill, finding Christian Watson at the bottom of the screen on this deep dig concept here, again covered by Corey Ballentine. So just like the first play, I believe this play was actually before the touchdown pass. I just wanted to show the touchdown catch by Watson first because that was probably the biggest splash play of the night. But again, just building this chemistry with Christian Watson, super important for Jordan Love, and we saw it on show last night. On this play, we have Jayden Reed coming out of the slot on the bottom of the screen here, running a slant across the field, and a really nice throw and catch by Jordan Love, and Jayden Reed to snag that ball out of the air a little bit high, but really nice job by Jayden Reed to snag the ball out of the air and bring it into his chest and get upfield. He was covered by Carrington Valentine here. It was pretty good coverage, but a really nice job by Jordan Love finding his open receiver across the middle, climbing the pocket, and finding his open receiver, which was Jayden Reed. To me, Jayden Reed is that number 3 wide receiver, that slot wide receiver that's going to be implemented a lot into this offense as early as week 1. So as much as it's important for Jordan Love to get on the same page as Dobbs and Watson, Jayden Reed may become his security blanket over the middle of the field on, say, 3rd and short or other situations where the Packers need to pick up, a certain amount of yards to gain a first down. Jayden Reed might be that guy across the middle of the field. He shows great route running promise, good hands, super quick, super fast. So I think he's going to be a big part of this offense. On this play, we have a defensive highlight, and you're going to be looking right over Josh Myers at center. That is Devontae Wyatt doing a really nice job at pressuring Jordan Love there on a would-be sack. Now, it's not live tackling in terms of the quarterback, so they're not going to tackle the quarterback in practice here. But this would be a sack in a real game. Devontae Wyatt pressuring Josh Myers very easily here and getting a would-be sack. Josh Myers hasn't been too hot. Zach Tom got some snaps at center over him. There's been a lot of fumbled snap exchanges, which has been a very big issue so far in training camp. But the main thing here is Devontae Wyatt. He has looked really good so far in training camp, and it looks like he's going to be taking that second-year step. And it's going to be very important for Devontae Wyatt to take that second-year step because he will be starting opposite Kenny Clark next to TJ Slayton. The Packers moved on from Dean Lowry and Jerron Reed, which had, I think, over 1,100 snaps combined last year. Those snaps have to be replaced, and that's going to be replaced with Devontae Wyatt and TJ Slayton. And I think Wyatt is ready to step up into that role, that starting role opposite Kenny Clark. And if we can get someone even on the same level as Kenny Clark or close to it, that defensive line can be very, very good. And when you have a good defensive line and you can rush the passer, your secondary looks a lot better too. Not to mention stopping the run, which the Packers have struggled with in years past. If Devontae Wyatt steps his game up, same with TJ Slayton, the run defense could be a lot better as well. Here we have a throw and catch from Jordan Love to Romeo Dobbs, right side of the end zone on Shamar Jean-Charles. Really nicely thrown ball by Jordan Love, really only to where Romeo Dobbs could catch that football. Where we saw the Christian Watson one, it was pretty much just Watson mossing Corey Ballantyne. It was a good throw, but this one is a very, very nice throw. High and outside over his right shoulder, and just a really nicely placed ball by Jordan Love to Romeo Dobbs. And like I said, that connection has been going on since OTA's minicamp. It seems like every practice, Jordan Love is finding Romeo Dobbs in some capacity. It's kind of his security blanket at this point. And I think in terms of targets, and I've said this in a couple other videos, in terms of targets, Romeo Dobbs, may get more targets than Christian Watson when the year is all over, when the season's over. I think, we could see Romeo Dobbs with more targets than Christian Watson. That's because he's more of a possession type of wide receiver. And I don't mean that in bad terms. I know I said that before, and there's some comments saying, he's not just a possession wide receiver, which I don't mean it in bad terms. I mean it in terms of the fact that he's a good route runner. He can kind of do it all. He's kind of be used in the middle of the field, quick slants, dig routes. He's a good route runner, really solid, strong hands, can make contested catches and all of that. He's just an all-around really nice wide receiver, and that's probably why Jordan Love has been looking his way a lot. Here on this play at the bottom of the screen, we're going to see Romeo Dobbs against Jaire Alexander, and Jaire's going to do a really good job at breaking this ball up. I don't think you could play better coverage than that, and then moves right into the seatbelt celebration for Jaire Alexander. Obviously, we talked about the whole Strap City thing, or Jaire talked about it, so that's what that celebration basically means there. Strapping down Romeo Dobbs on this play. Does a good job at the press, kind of overextends his arms a bit, but then does a really good job recovering. Let it play once more here. So kind of overextends on that press there, but then does a really good job recovering and tracking that quick slant there and breaking that ball up. Jaire Alexander has been excellent in this year's training camp and really showcasing why he still is that lockdown cornerback, that one of the top cornerbacks in the NFL. So it's going to be very important for this defensive backfield to cover well, because if the Packers don't have Rashawn Gary early on, their pass rush might not be as great as obviously it could be without Rashawn Gary. Like Rashawn Gary being their best pass rusher, if you don't have that guy, pass rush isn't going to be as good. That's just simply how it's going to be. They still have a lot of other quality players in that edge room, but the coverage is definitely going to have to hold up, and that starts with Jaire Alexander locking up the top receiver on the other team. So here's a play of Sean Clifford finding Malik Heath deep over the middle of the field, and then he takes it to the house here. Malik Heath was very impressive in family night last night. He had multiple touchdowns, multiple nice catches, and another player that was also very impressive was Sean Clifford. So you see both of these guys here showing their skills. Sean Clifford, climbing the pocket here, kind of evading that one rush and delivering a ball right across the middle, right underneath all those defenders to an open Malik Heath, who then takes it all the way for a touchdown. I think Sean Clifford jumped the ranks last night. He was currently quarterback 3 right now. After family night last night, I see him as quarterback number 2. He looks like he belongs. He looks like almost like a veteran, which is crazy because he's a rookie, and that's because he's had so much experience at college at Penn State. Plus, the Packers spent a 5th-round draft selection on him, so it kind of means he's going to make the roster anyways. But the Packers could also leave someone on the practice squad, and they could be active every day or every game as a quarterback with that new NFL rule. So technically speaking, that person could be the backup quarterback, and they would just be rostering Sean Clifford to not lose him. But right now, Sean Clifford does look really nice. He looks like he could be a solid backup quarterback. Like I said, shows a lot of experience due to all the snaps he played at Penn State, and does a good job climbing the pocket, reading the defense, and finding the open receiver. On this play, we have Danny Etling finding Malik Heath in the back corner of the end zone on a corner route. Corey Ballantyne again in coverage. So not a hot night for Corey Ballantyne. Kind of got beat by a lot of people for touchdowns. But again, just showcasing, the good night that Malik Heath has had. We were all kind of wondering that, what's going to happen when the pads fully come on for Malik Heath after a very impressive OTA/minicamp. And so far, he's had some bad practices so far in training camp, a couple of them with some drops, but then he's also come back and made a lot of plays in certain training camps, and then also made a lot of plays tonight in family night. So he's definitely still in the running for wide receiver 6 right now. And in terms of who has showcased the most, it's between him and Bo Melton. And Bo Melton had a nice practice as well last. So it's going to be between those two, in my opinion, for that wide receiver 6. And it might also just depend on who gives more on special teams, and that might be Bo Melton, but we'll see exactly what happens. Nonetheless, if Malik Heath doesn't make the 53-man roster, I fully see him being a Packers practice squad receiver. On this clip, we have Luke Musgrave just toasting Darnell Savage on this 1v1 out route. Luke Musgrave also showed his talents last night, his potential, his height, his speed, explosiveness. I mean, he just absolutely cooks Darnell Savage. And I don't know if I'm supposed to be extremely impressed in Luke Musgrave or extremely worried about Darnell Savage, because he's right now our starting safety. And Luke Musgrave just toasted him on this out route, just showcasing his tremendous quickness and speed as a tight end, which is just absurd. There's another play I'll have of Luke Musgrave as well here that just showcases that as well. And here is that play. Jordan Love finding Luke Musgrave across the middle of the field during the 2-minute drill, just wide open across the middle of the field. Luke Musgrave is going to be a threat to defenses. This guy moves like a wide receiver, built like a tight end. He's going to be able to get behind linebackers such as this against defenses, and that's going to be, an underrated part of this Packers offense. The Packers really haven't had a tight end like that in a very long time, and I know he hasn't played a full NFL snap yet, but he's still showcasing his abilities and how he can be used, and that's threatening the defense vertically as a tight end, and that's a super important, position to have on your offense, because it allows a lot more versatility to your offense. It allows wide receivers to get open underneath if you're, threatening up the middle of the field, up the seam with a tight end that can very well outrun some defensive backs in this league, because Luke Musgrave has tremendous speed. So it's really nice to see them already doing this in practice and kind of showcasing how they're going to be using him in season. And he's been getting the start at tight end pretty much the last 3 or 4 days. I know DeGuara was hurt, but even when DeGuara was there, Musgrave started to get the start at tight end. So it looks like Luke Musgrave as of right now is starting tight end. And speaking of tight ends, here's a clip of Sean Clifford. He's going to find Tucker Kraft across the middle here, right on the goal line. Really nice throw outside of, I think that was Corey Ballantyne again, finding Tucker Kraft, who high points that football, outside of his shoulder, and strong hands, brings that football down into his body, scores, and then does the Lambeau leap. Tucker Kraft also had a really nice night. I thought it was a really nice night for both of these tight ends. Kraft is also going to be a big part of this offense as an inline blocking type of tight end, and also as a receiver. So he's not just a blocking tight end. This dude has, route running ability. He's not the fastest person. He doesn't have Luke Musgrave's speed, but he is still pretty quick for his frame. And, he does a good job at getting open, finding the open zones, and like I said, bringing down the football with strong hands. I thought he had a really nice night last night in terms of blocking as well as getting open and catching the football. Here we have a play of Alex Magoo finding Dontavian Wicks across the middle, but it is broken up by Benny Sapp and then intercepted by Tariq Carpenter. Really nice hit by Benny Sapp, the undrafted free agent safety there, and a good job by Tariq Carpenter then catching that football. So we haven't seen much of Tay Wicks so far, so you really like to see him hold on to this football here. It kind of seems like he caught it, and then it started to slip, and he brought it down to his hip, and at that point, Benny Sapp delivered that nice hit there. Ball bopped out. Interception Carpenter. So I definitely want to see more of Tay Wicks. He kind of just got back from that concussion, and we haven't seen much of him at all in practice. I still think he has a ton of potential, and he could be wide receiver 4 or 5, depending on how they're going to use Samori Toure. It really just depends. Right now, I have Toure as 4 because he kind of is that backup slot role, but Wicks is kind of the next guy up at outside wide receiver, opposite, Christian Watson, Romeo Dobbs. So, I think he definitely makes this roster. I just want to see more of him in practice, and you would like to see him hold on to that ball there. To wrap things up, we have a play of Jordan Love finding Jayden Reed in the end zone for a touchdown. Again, kind of showing that security blanket Jayden Reed can be after a motion. And then we also see, I think, a wheel or a flat route by Aaron Jones kind of pulling Devondre Campbell to the outside, and Jayden Reed just finding that soft spot right down in the defense between Campbell and Quay Walker there. Nice concept by that offense. Using Jayden Reed in motion, I think, is going to happen a lot this year, and I think it's implementing him well into this offense. And like I said before, I believe he's going to be a big part of this offense, and he's going to be slot receiver day one. They're going to be using him in the slot as their motion man, and, you know, he can play outside as well. He may even very well be their punt return. I think Jayden Reed is going to get a ton of snaps early on. But those are all the highlights I have to react to for you guys from last night's family night practice. It wasn't as eventful as years past, but nonetheless, it's still nice to get some look on the Green Bay Packers practice. I know a lot of other teams are posting their practices all the time, where we know the Green Bay Packers really don't do that. So we're kind of always, you know, hungry for any type of look at the Green Bay Packers training camp and practice and all of that, because, you know, we're excited fans. We're just looking to see what's going to happen with this team, this transition from Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love, and how this team's going to be. It's a very young, new team, so of course we're all going to be excited to see any bit of practice at this point. And I'm definitely excited for this season. We have our first preseason game this Friday against the Cincinnati Bengals. I believe there's also practice tomorrow, so again, be on the lookout for all the videos I'll post, you know, practice highlights, practice recap after tomorrow's practice as well. I appreciate everyone watching. If you're a part of my stream last night, didn't go exactly as planned, and you stuck around, I really appreciate you guys, the tremendous support I'm super thankful of. But that about does it for this video. I'll catch you all in the next one. Thanks for watching, and as always, go